What a day, what a day.
Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. So he kind of said everything I was going to say actually. I'll just start at the beginning. Basically I was born and raised in London, and throughout my childhood my parents were very strict Christians. We used to go to church on Saturdays as well actually, and like every week. We grew up having Bible studies at home and, taking time to look through and read the Bible, these kind of things. So I was always very much interested in Christianity, and my parents did a lot to make sure that I had, some kind of faith instilled within me. Eventually I went to secondary school, which was a Christian school, the Church of England. And one of the things that I noticed when I did go to secondary school, although we had to in order to get into the school, you had to get like a reverend or your preacher, whoever, which church that you go to, you had to get a signature from them in order to join the school. I noticed that when I got to the school, a lot of the people weren't Christian, or they were, even though if they said they was Christian, for example, they wouldn't be practicing Christians. So that's something that, new that I kind of encountered, because in primary school, religion wasn't anything that you really kind of thought about. Everybody, was mixed in primary school, but in secondary school, religion, because it was supposed to be a Church of England school and we had to sing hymns and things like that, I was always kind of intrigued as to, the relationships between, different faiths. And why some people who said they was Christian, they didn't seem to be as much into their religion as, I was brought up to be. So one thing that attracted me to Muslims especially is that I found that we had a lot of things in common. So my family, we used to pray a lot, we used to fast a lot, and I noticed that the only people that used to do these kind of things as well was Muslims. They used to take these things quite seriously. And it wasn't until I left secondary school and I went to college that I started to kind of learn a little bit more about Islam. I had best friends who were Muslim, and some of them were practicing kind of, that maybe they prayed and things like that. But, some of them wear hijab, for example, but maybe there wasn't putting as much effort as, you would want. And basically I had neighbors who were Muslim as well, two different families who were Muslims. And eventually one day, I was talking with a friend of mine. She was Iraqi actually, and she was telling me something about Islam and going to, after you die, where do you go and things like that. And she was saying, oh well, Muslims, we believe that, if you've been bad, you can still go to hell, but it's, you're going to be in a prison, and after some time when you've been punished or whatever, you've paid your dues for being bad or whatever, then you can go to heaven after that. And I thought that was really quite strange, because being a Christian growing up, it's either you go to heaven or hell. So I didn't understand that concept from her. But a year or so later, I had a conversation with a neighbour of mine, actually, who was Muslim, and I was basically trying to convince him that the Christian perspective of Jesus was the correct perspective, because I never understood why Muslims believed in Jesus, but they didn't accept him as being a God. And as a Christian, it's never something I'd questioned. So for me, that was something, as even having many Muslim friends, I'd never had any kind of clarity on that situation. So basically I was trying to convince him the Christian perspective, and he was listening, and he just listening, and I was thinking to myself, oh, this is great, he's going to understand, and I'm going to clear all this up for him, then, then he'll understand about Christianity and stuff. And then when I finished talking to him, he said to me, would you like to know the Islamic perspective of Jesus? And I said, yeah, that would be great. So he gave me a book by Dr. Bilal Phillips called The True Message of Jesus Christ. And after reading that book, I was about halfway through the book, and I'd had my Bible with me as well, because in that book he quotes a lot of verses from the Bible to, demonstrate that Jesus never actually said that he was a God, and he never claimed, he never asked people to worship or anything like that. And to be honest, a lot of the things he was pointing out I'd never thought about before, so I had to double check everything. And about halfway through the book, I thought to myself, really, I need to become a Muslim, because that, for me, that was the only major thing that had kind of prevented me before. I didn't understand that, that point of view that Jesus, he's a prophet. So from there, I went on to learn more about Islam and, different, the principles of Islam, basically, and you know, obviously there's a lot of things. There's another thing that I think common with Muslims growing up is that my family never ate pork either, and all the other Christians in school, they always ate pork. So when I used to go to Muslim friends' house, I always felt safe because I could just eat anything. Whereas when I went to other friends' house, my parents would always be like, oh, make sure you don't eat any pork. So when I was young in school, I remember sometimes accidentally, like, you know, eating something that I shouldn't have had and then end up being sick or something. My mum would be like, oh, did you have anything that you shouldn't have eaten? Did you try anything you've never had before? So this is one of the things as well that I liked about Muslims in general. But after reading a few more books about Christianity, you know, comparing it with Islam and the different points and going through, you know, the beliefs about the different prophets and everything, I accepted Islam in April of 2002. And since from then on, one of my neighbour who had given me dawah initially, his brother had more knowledge of Islam, so he used to give me, like, you know, books and things like that, and he advised me to go to a mosque in Brixton, actually, which, you know, there was a large African Caribbean community in that mosque as well, and I used to always be in that area, so it was quite convenient for me to be going there. Meeting, and, you know, even though it was a large African Caribbean community, there was many Muslims from other backgrounds as well, which was nice because I'm used to always mixing with different people from, you know, various backgrounds. And from there I learned a lot of other things about Islam, and, you know, it was good meeting other reverts who were from, you know, similar background to mine. A year or so later, well, actually it was the same year, I moved to Newcastle so I could study at university. And at the time, it was a bit of a relief because my parents, they didn't take very kindly to me becoming a Muslim, and it was a bit difficult at the time. So when I did leave London, it was a bit kind of tense, you know, but, like, I was happy to kind of just get out and, you know, just basically kind of start afresh. So the following year, you know, things like started to settle down. My parents became more accepting because in the beginning, I think they thought it was just kind of a phase that I was going through. Maybe I've become Muslim because I wanted to get married to, like, a Muslim or something like that. That was, like, especially my mum, she had that in her mind. But then after a while, they got used to me being Muslim and practicing different things. And even though every once in a while they'd surprise me with questions, like, just out of the blue, which, being a new Muslim, you don't know how to respond to things a lot of the time. Even if you do know what it is, or you might have some knowledge of it, it's hard to, like, if you're being put on the spot, you get asked a question, you don't know how to respond. So they'd often do that. But when I wanted to actually talk to Islam and explain to them, I found that, you know, they didn't want to really listen. So it's like he kind of asked me a question just to put me on the spot, and I felt quite embarrassed by that. So that itself kind of drove me to learn more about Islam, to study more, because I know I did need to learn more, obviously. But I took time to learn more and more, and, you know, eventually I got married and I started a family of my own. And, you know, from there, that was another journey in itself. But I think being, you know, as regards to, like, racism and being a black woman as a Muslim, I think, I mean, growing up, I experienced racism because of my, you know, background, because of my skin color. I did experience racism sometimes. So, and being a Muslim now, I still do experience a level of prejudice. I don't think it's as bad as, I mean, living in Newcastle, I don't think it's as bad as some people experience, to be honest. I think sometimes people think that, you know, you might have a perception that living in an area, for example, maybe there's a lot of white people and you're the only black person, that you might have this kind of preconceived idea that you're gonna, like, you know, be kind of oppressed in some way, or they're gonna, like, be funny with you. But I think what's important is keeping an open mind. So wherever you go, you have, like, you know, just have, like, a clean heart when it comes to people. So when you do meet people, for example, if you meet a white person, you don't think, oh, this person is gonna think badly of me because I'm not white. So that's what I try to do with everybody, and I find that more often than not, people are nice, people are friendly. Another thing, being a black woman as a Muslim, most people don't think I'm a revert. That's one thing, especially Muslims. Most Muslims don't think I'm a revert because I'm already the right colour. Yeah. So I just blend in wherever I go, you know, and obviously I wear face veil as well. So I've heard from people, oh, are you Bengali? Are you from Nigeria? Are you, you know, like all sorts of different places, but nobody ever thinks that I'm a revert, which, you know, alhamdulillah, it's fine with me. I don't mind that. And as well, wearing a face veil as well, especially, I think, not just, I mean, because I didn't always wear the face veil. Even before that, I found that, you know, women wearing a hijab, sometimes people can, like, you know, they look at you or they talk to you as if you know, they just assume that you don't speak English, you know, and sometimes they'll say things, and then when you respond and they hear, you know, London accent, they kind of got this look on their face like, oh, she talks English. So, so that's kind of a surprise for some people as well, you know, because, I mean, everywhere I go, sometimes, you know, I sometimes actually use it to my advantage, because if somebody says something negatively to me, I don't like to retaliate in a negative way. So sometimes I'll just tell myself, no, you don't speak English and you didn't just understand what they said. So I just pretend that I didn't hear it. So, yeah, that's what, for me, that's what it's like really being a black Muslim, just like everybody else, I think. You know, everybody has similar struggles. It's not just down to skin colour and things like that, but obviously growing up now and living in Newcastle, I do see things from another perspective as well. You know, when I was younger, as a non-Muslim, I was growing up as a Christian, I had, like, you know, it was whenever you watch the news and a crime happens, you're praying, oh, don't let it be a black person. And now when I watch the news, it's like, oh, don't let them be Muslim, please. So, yeah, but that's my story. Thank you very much.
Oh, what a day, what a day, what a day.